My name is Jan. I'm also known as Blackbird, and my dream is to become an elite level arm wrestler. I'm not naturally gifted for this sport, but I want to see how far I can get with hard work, discipline, and with pushing myself beyond my limits. I'm documenting everything, and I'm glad that you're here to see it. Stick with me and let's see how far we can get. If you've been following me for some time, then you probably know me for my meme style, ramble or tutorial style content, but this is by far the most important video I've made to date. It's the story of how I started, how I struggled, what my current shape is, and where I want to take this journey. This is the foundation of everything there is to come. My journey started in April of 2022. Back then I was a small, scrawny 15-year-old full of personal struggles and insecurities. High school had a toxic environment, and I never really managed to fit in. I barely socialized out of school, so my communication skills were basically non-existent. I got no attention from girls, played video games 3 or more hours a day, and overall just felt awful. The only thing I had going for myself, the only thing I was good at was having good grades. But good grades don't mean much in today's world. Occasionally I would do some sports, but there was none that I would stick to for a longer period of time. Usually after a few weeks I lost discipline and went back to my video game cycle. And then in April I had the idea to start going to the gym. And back then I had no idea how big of an impact that would make on my life. At first it seemed like just another phase, something I would do for a few weeks until it would eventually fizzle out, and due to a lack of discipline I would stop. But then I came across a video made by Hamza Ahmed, one of the largest self-improvement YouTubers. And in that video he talked about the benefits of working out and self-improvement. And that made me stick to going to the gym, and eventually it became a habit. It's quite wild how one video can completely change your outlook on your life and completely drive you in a different direction. If I didn't see that video back then, there is no way I would be making this video right now. You know, that's sort of where my self-improvement journey started. There would be days where I focused on my mental health, then on my social skills, but in the center of it all has always been training. It was the first thing I started doing and the thing I was most disciplined at. I believe it's because lifting weights always made me feel better. You know, when I went into the gym, I always felt better afterwards, even if before I didn't want to go. And I think this kind of made me realize the process of delayed gratification, because I knew that afterwards I would feel better and that I would overall just get the benefits of looking better and feeling better. Eventually my self-improvement efforts spread out across multiple different fields, but at that time, in summer of 2022 until 2023, it was mostly about gym and bodybuilding. It was also a time that I watched the Devon vs Levan match. I actually bought the pay-per-view for the match, even though I wasn't even in arm wrestling at that time. Something fascinated me about it because I saw a couple of videos with Larry Wheels, and then I moved on to watching a bit of Devon Larratt, and that was the reason I actually watched that match. And it was the first time I got invested into arm wrestling as a viewer. Anyways, a few months pass and it's now October 2022. During summer I've become a bit stronger, gained some muscle, my self-confidence started rising. And around that time in school, we had that period when we would do arm wrestling in class, you know, and we wanted to see who's the strongest. And specifically one good friend of mine, who I have already spoken about on this channel, he was really good at arm wrestling and he completely destroyed all of us. And I'm a very competitive person. So the afternoon of the day I got destroyed, I started looking up online on ways and techniques of actually beating someone. And then the next day I came with my newfound knowledge and I was convinced that now, since I know all the tricks and secrets, I would beat him. But then of course I got destroyed again. But I just kept coming to him because I knew that if I failed, there was always something new to learn. and I dug into this rabbit hole of arm wrestling techniques and ways of actually doing the sport correctly. Getting destroyed repeatedly of course didn't feel great, but it lit this fire in me where I just wanted to see what I could do to not get destroyed the next time. And eventually through this process we started practicing together. We would get a bench from the gym or find a table somewhere, put towels on the tables, use them as pads. And through this whole process I learned more about the techniques, about the elite side of the sport, and overall I just found it really cool and really fun because same as everyone else who heard of the sport for the first time, I just thought it was about pushing sideways. But learning that it's actually like a martial art where you utilize different techniques against your opponent's different techniques and you can switch up what you're doing to improve your chances of success. You know, there is hand positioning, arm positioning. I found it fascinating. So I kept going. I started incorporating arm wrestling exercises into my then purely bodybuilding workout routine, and I also learned more about the elite side of the sport. Specifically, I was watching a lot of East vs West. I vividly remember watching East vs West 7. It was the first card I watched with another friend who I've got into arm wrestling, and I specifically remember the Devon vs Gennady match. How invested I was in the outcome, and I swear that when Devon lost, my entire evening was done. I had like a post-depression afterwards. But that actually wasn't the worst feeling I've had from an athlete losing. But we'll get to that later. This was in May of 2023, and after that was the summer of 2023, where I kept learning about the techniques, and slowly but surely I learned more and more and I became stronger. And I kept improving. And a big turning point was the April of 2024, because that was the time when I finally decided to upgrade my home gym setup, or more accurately, I didn't really have much of a home setup before, and this was the first time I could truly properly train all of the arm wrestling movements even when I wasn't in school. We had a school gym where I could train, but once the school ended I didn't simply have enough equipment for arm wrestling. So I got classic plates for like $80 with barbells. I got a strap, I made myself a DIY loading pin. And it was also the time where I watched the whole Devon Larratt saga. You know, Devon, after he lost to Levan in 2022, which was the first pay-per-view I ever watched, he went on a rampage, destroying every opponent there was. And in April of 2024, he was chasing a rematch with Levan because he cleared up everyone and simply the road led him back to Levan. And I was incredibly excited for that match. I was so excited that I actually put $80 on Devon, which back then I was like certain that Devon would win, which of course didn't happen. In round 1 I had hope that he could pull it off, then my hope shattered, and that loss gave me like a week-long depression. Even when I look back, I still get sad. But you know, eventually you get over it, which I did get over it, and I got back to properly working out. My new home gym gave me the opportunity to fully lock in and focus 100% on training arm wrestling. And do you remember that friend of mine who crushed everyone? Well, I started prepping for a match with him. I had April, May and June to do as much as possible, and I really improved quite a bit. All my numbers went up, and in my mind I knew that there was a way for me to win. Because in the past I saw cracks in his game. I knew that there were times where I was able to take advantage of his weaknesses and beat him. It was an obstacle I wanted to overcome, because he was a block for me for so long. And on the day of the match I'm feeling confident, I believe that I can win. And right after that I got completely destroyed. And that really hurt. It truly did hurt quite a bit, because I had so much to prove. I wanted to show how I progressed, how I became better, but in that one moment it felt like it was all for nothing. You know, eventually I realized that losing is just a part of the process, just another lesson you gain. The summer of 2024 followed after that match, and that was when I kind of let go of my focus on arm wrestling, and I tried various sports. I tried climbing, I tried running. My effort was really spread out across multiple fields, but I knew that if I wanted to be great at something, I would have to stick to that one sport. And for a brief moment it really seemed like my path would lead me somewhere else. Running really started to seem like a passion of mine. That was at least until I first stepped into an arm wrestling club, and that was the best decision I could have ever made. The first time I was there, I spent 2 hours having an absolutely fantastic time pulling, and that was the moment I truly fell in love with the sport of arm wrestling. And I had my answer on what I actually wanted to pursue. And from that time onward, I was improving faster than ever before. And currently, I'm the strongest I've ever been, and I'm doing well. Or am I? My high school life ended in May, and in that time I knew that there were big changes coming up ahead. I wanted to try doing something new with my life, because the alternative was staying in place, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. And I felt like I wanted to share my thoughts with people. I wanted to spread some information, I wanted to teach something, I wanted to motivate people, I wanted to entertain people, and I wanted to show them my journey. It wasn't just for me, but also for people watching. So I started this YouTube channel. When I first started doing content, I did mostly shorts, which didn't really gain any attention, but then I made my first long form video. I expected it to get like 500 views at most, dream scenario. What I didn't expect to see was it gaining 10,000 views in a week. And I was absolutely amazed and shocked that people actually cared more than I ever thought. People listened to what I was saying. Someone out there cared. I wasn't just putting stuff out there into the void. And that really motivated me to keep going. So I continued, creating tutorials, motivational videos, rambles, meme content of course. And here we are now. I have around 2,000 subscribers, and I'm incredibly grateful to you guys for watching. Making videos became more than just creating content. It became the way I connect with the sport, my way of living it every day. At times it's been all-consuming, but that's simply the part of obsessing over a goal and chasing after it. Currently, I'm also recovering from a tendon injury I suffered a few weeks ago. However, I'm starting to get stronger, I'm starting to improve, and I'm slowly getting ready for my first serious competition, and also another rematch with that good friend of mine. I think that now I'm actually ready to finally beat him. So here it starts. Here I start documenting the struggles, the wins, the losses. I'm documenting everything, and I'm really glad that you're here with me. Stick with me and let's see how far we can get. I'm still not sure how far I can go, but I promise you, I will find out. And that's everything from me for today. Thanks a lot for watching.